What's up guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to Vivienne's 1 month baby update. I wanted to film this video while Vivienne is still in her, I guess, second month of life now. She just passed the 1 month mark. We're about week 6 right now at the time of filming this, and honestly, it's just been a little bit crazy, so I haven't had a chance to sit down with her and record all of this, but I wanted to make a quick video to share how the first month went, how Vivienne is doing, how we are doing, some of the major changes we've seen in her in the first month of life and a little bit after that, and just give you guys an update on how things are going and how we are adjusting to new lives as parents. If you like this video today, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content about motherhood and parenting and all of that fun stuff. So our baby girl, Vivienne, was born on June 14th, and at the point of her birth, she was 9 pounds 6 ounces, 22 inches long, basically 99th percentile on everything. And at her 4-week appointment, like the 1 month well baby visit that we had, she was still in the 99th percentile for everything. She has continued on that growth curve for just being big for her age in terms of weight and height. And so that has made for a really interesting and I think unique experience into the transition to parenthood for us, because weight really has such an impact on the type of baby that you'll have, at least from what I've heard. The first 2 weeks of Vivienne's life, like any transition into parenthood, were a little bit crazy for us. She, in the first couple of nights, was sleeping like 3 hours at a time and then waking up and wanting to feed, and I was also setting those alarms to wake her up every 3 hours if she hadn't woken up yet, because your doctors do advise you to feed your baby every 2 to 3 hours when they're a newborn and they haven't passed their birth weight yet. It was just such a blurry like haze those first 2 weeks. I keep saying to people that they shouldn't count with like actual growth of your baby and like your baby's age, because it's so hard to remember what even happened in those first 2 weeks. But as I've mentioned in my Q&A and stuff, we had family here, and then it wasn't until the 3rd week of her life that I feel like family left and we started to get more into the group of things with her and try to learn more about her routine and her behaviors and things like that, which was definitely tricky because at that point, every day is so different. There's not really routines yet. There's not really patterns. And that also happened to be the week that my husband, Jared, started going back to work again. And so I think week 3 of her life was when I was the hardest on myself in terms of just like being a mom and trying to balance things around the house and balance her and just like figuring out what that new dynamic was going to look like. I remember in week 3 of her life just feeling like, how long is this going to feel like this, where just everything is a mess and everything is crazy. But it was at week 4 that I think that things started to get a little bit better for us. At week 4 of Vivienne's life, we had the well baby visit. We found out that she had surpassed her birth weight, which the doctors were really happy to see. And that was also when we were kind of instructed that we could drop our nighttime feeding, so the middle of the nighttime feeding. So at that point, we were like, okay, right now she's going to bed around 10:30 or 11 when we are. Of course, she has naps before that at like 8 and 9, but then she'll wake up from that nap, and we didn't really consider it like bedtime for the night until it was like 10:30 or 11. So we would feed her at that point and put her down, and then not feed again until like 5:30, 6:30, like whenever she would wake up, and she started sleeping through the night. So I think it was around the 4-week mark that we got our first 6-hour stretch, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I see a light at the end of the tunnel. And then after that, we got a 7-hour stretch, and then we started to get more consistent 7-hour stretches. And guys, since 4 weeks, she has now been sleeping through the night like consistently. When we went through the 4-week leap, which I'll get into in a little bit, and just updating you guys on some of what that looks like, especially for new moms that are wondering like, what's gonna come in 4 weeks after I have my newborn. When we hit that 4-week leap, we had a couple of fussy nights with her, but all in all, she has been sleeping through the night consistently since the 4-week mark. So since then, around like week 5, we started to get some 8-hour stretches. And then now in week 6, we most consistently see 7-hour stretches at night, but I got a 9-hour stretch the other day, and it was the second time that I've had a 9-hour stretch. So she is a good sleeper. She'll continue to do like the 3-hour stretches in the day that I've talked about on my channel before, where as soon as she wakes up every 3 hours, I get her back on that schedule of eat, play, sleep, where I'll feed her, we'll play for a little bit, and then she'll go down for a nap. And I'll continue to set that alarm every 3 hours during the day, just to make sure that she does have enough feedings happening, because I know that at night, hopefully another long stretch will come where she won't be eating. So again, at like 10:30 or 11 still is when I'll stop doing those timers, and I will put her down for the night, and she will typically sleep through it. So a quick update on how Vivienne is doing right now. Some of the things that she absolutely loves are diaper changes. For whatever reason, if she is like inconsolable or upset about anything, if we put her down on our diaper change pad that we have on our dresser in our bedroom right now, she immediately will just like look up at you and just like take a quick breath. It just seems like it's like a safe spot for her, and she knows that we're like taking care of her up there, and so she absolutely loves diaper changes. When it comes to breastfeeding, Vivienne is still an efficient eater. I've mentioned that on my channel before. She still feeds for 10 minutes in total each time, and it's typically around 6 to 7 feedings a day right now. So that is like 5 minutes per side on each side, and I'll continue to just collect letdown and stuff like that. But one thing that I will mention is that now that we've dropped down with feedings with her a little bit more and have dropped the night feeding specifically, that my letdown has decreased a little bit. So I think my milk supply has stayed the same because she's not fussing or anything like that. Like she'll do like typically 5 minutes on each side and still be satisfied and like pull herself off after the 10-minute mark. But I've noticed that there's significantly less in the LV catch that I've been using since dropping the last feed of the day. So what I'm trying to do now is after my first feed in the morning, since I haven't fed her overnight and like typically I've produced a little bit more milk at that point, I'll pump after that feeding when she's done, because she doesn't necessarily get everything out that's collected overnight. So with what I've collected from that morning feed and from what I've pumped after it, I will then refrigerate that, mix it with any other milk that I've had in the fridge if it's still within that 4-day timeline, and freeze that. And so the stuff that I'm getting in my bags of milk is a little bit less for the freezer, but one of the things that a mom let me know is it's actually a good thing to freeze some smaller quantities of milk sometimes, because you won't necessarily want to pull out a bag that's like huge and frozen and full of milk every single time you need to give your baby a bottle, because then once it's defrosted, there's only a few days in the fridge that it will actually keep. And so sometimes if you only need like one bottle, if you're going out for a date night or you're going to a wedding, which happened to us the other day, it's nice to be able to pull out a smaller frozen bag of milk so you can defrost that and have that ready to go. I'm not like spraying her in the face anymore during feedings. That's what was happening before. It would literally like shoot all over her, and I felt so bad. And my supply has evened out a little bit more. So there's been moments where I've been like, is this enough? Like, is she getting enough? But she's still gaining weight, she's still happy. So I've just been trying to relax knowing that and go with the flow, quite literally. At the 4 and 5 week mark, Vivienne also started to get a lot of baby acne, and again, I've mentioned that on my channel. I did find a product that worked incredibly well for that, so I wanted to just insert a little bit of footage here for you guys to go and pick that up if you want to be prepared for this, or if you're a mom struggling with your baby's acne. So she started getting this, and I at first when I saw it was convinced that it was a rash or I had done something. Now I know that it was just the onset of her baby acne, which is so normal, especially in baby girls. And so the product that I use is called Mistela Physio Baby. It's a cleansing water, and essentially what I'll do is I'll put that on a cotton pad or onto just a baby cloth after each feeding and wipe her face down, specifically around her mouth and things like that. But I will also do that on her face in the morning when she wakes up and at night before bed. I have seen such a drastic difference in her skin since doing that. People now will comment on her skin and be like, oh my gosh, like she's got the most beautiful, perfect baby skin, but it was just weeks before that it was absolute chaos. Other things that I noticed around the 1 month, 4 week, 5 week kind of mark is that Vivienne started to get a little bit better at holding her neck up. She would do like the full like head bang every single time we were trying to hold her up before. She was great at tummy time before the 4 week mark, but for whatever reason, like even though she could hold her neck up and like keep it there for a few moments, when we were holding her, it was just like immediate flop. And so she started to get a little bit better at that around 4-ish, 5 weeks. She's not consistently holding her head up yet, and I'm excited for that moment because it's gonna be a lot easier, obviously, but she has improved on it quite a bit since newborn days. So as I mentioned before, Vivienne's leap happened around week 4 or week 5. I think for a lot of babies it can happen between week 4 and week 6 in general is what I've heard, but one thing that I would 100% recommend for any new moms is the Wonder Weeks app. It's really great. It's a little bit to buy it, but then once you have it, it's so helpful because you can actually sync it with your calendar on your phone and it will update you and warn you essentially when a leap is coming. Around 4 weeks of Vivienne's life, we started to notice that she was crying more than usual. She was a lot fussier. She was grumpier. She was wanting to be held all of the time. I even posted on Instagram one day like, oh my gosh, like my baby wants to be held all the time right now. And sure enough, she was going through a leap. So in the Wonder Weeks app, I would go through it and it would actually give me different signals of like, here are the signs that Vivienne's going through a leap. And all of those things were so accurate for her at the 4-week mark. But the nice thing is that that also comes with some really cool changes in your baby's development. So at that point was also when Vivienne started to look at things a little bit longer. She wasn't just like looking through us anymore or like going cross-eyed when she was looking at us. Like she was actually looking at us, and if we were like to move our hand, she would track with it. Or when we were reading a book, you could tell that she could actually like see the book and she was interested in the book, and there was a little bit more of an awareness to her in terms of like eyesight. So that's one of the things that can come with that first leap. But then the other things that can come with the first leap are smiles, which is incredible. So Vivienne is now consistently smiling at us, and it's social smiles. So it's not just gas anymore. It's not just trying to get a poop out. It's because she actually sees us and is responding to either faces we're making or things that we're saying to her that are making her happy. And I have to say that is one of the sweetest things that I have really ever experienced in my life, is having my baby girl smile at me. It's just such a special thing when they actually like know and recognize that you're there. And so that came with that 4-week leap as well. One of the other things that showed up around that 4 and 5 week mark is having her talk to us. So she introduced the babbling a little bit more at that point when she hit the 1 month mark. And it was so fun to be able to say something to her, pause for a little bit, and have her actually respond. How was your nap this morning? Was it good? Another key thing that we started to notice around the 5 and 6 week mark is that we had transitioned out of all of Vivienne's newborn clothes. So I had to pack up quite a few of her newborn clothes when we got home from the hospital because they didn't fit her. I think it depends on the brand, but certain brands like Old Navy and Carter's newborn sizes were just way too small on her. She could wear the 1 to 2 month newborn sizes from H&M, but even still, there was a bunch of things that we had to go straight into 2 to 4 months in from H&M. But now that we are at 6 weeks for sure, but even around the 4 and 5 week range, there were a lot of outfits that were like, all right, this is the last time we're gonna see her in this. Like, we've got to pack this up now. And so that was really bittersweet. And now she's almost getting into like 3 to 6, which is insane. And I know that that's not really what most people experience, but because of her size, it's just where we're at. Overall, the transition into being parents and having a newborn really has been so much better than I thought it was going to be. One of the things that has made that transition a lot easier in our case and is unique to us is the fact that she is such a big baby. And so with things like eating and feeding, those are the things that really do impact, I think, for parents, like what your quality of life is with the baby. Because she's feeding so well, she's getting a lot of good sleep in between those feeds and she's less fussy. Everyone's baby is so different. Everyone's experience is different. So don't try and compare yourself. Know that sleep will come for you at some point and it won't be like this forever. Now that we are getting closer to that 2 month marker of life and we are at the 6 week mark, it means that I am basically out of what they consider that like newly postpartum stage to be. And so I have a video coming soon about my postpartum journey, the experience physically, emotionally, mentally, basically like what my body looks like and what it went through now. And so stay tuned for that. I'm really excited and a little bit nervous to share more about what that journey has looked like, but that video is also coming soon. Well, I hope that you guys enjoy this little 1 month baby update. We are going to be in the 2nd month so soon, and that is just absolutely mind-blowing to me. It is just insane how fast these newborn stages go, even though the days feel so long. Everyone says it, but like the actual weeks are so short and the months are so short, and I don't want to say it, but the years are going to be so short too. If you are in the newborn stage or you're an expecting mom and you're kind of wondering about what's to come at the 4-week mark, know that lots of good is coming. Basically, the older your baby gets, the better they'll start to sleep over time. And so even with regressions and all of those things like that, you'll get more consistent sleep, you'll get into more of a routine and a pattern and be able to get out of the house more and all of these things. And so there is so much to look forward to. You're doing well. Remind yourself of that today. But I wanted to remind you guys again to like this video before you head out today. It is honestly so helpful for my channel every time you like a video, and leave a comment down below as well if there's something that you want to see on my channel about Vivienne or this transition into motherhood, and be sure to subscribe as well. But until next time, I love you guys, praying for you guys, and we will see you soon.